cannot be disputed, because when life process begins at conception, the creation of a new human being has started. Now, tonight we're going to be talking about the issue because it has to do, first of all, with the feelings of independence that we hear coming from the women's lib movements, from the agencies that would say women have the right over their own body. But the question is, what about the father of the child? What about his thoughts as in regard to the destruction of human life? Does the father of the child have anything to say? We're going to be talking about that tonight. I'd like to introduce our guests. First of all, no stranger to us, Merri Lin Haferman from Missionaries to the Preborn. Merri Lin, nice to have you here. I trust that you're faring well in this cold weather.
Yeah, pretty well.
Does this in any way daunt the efforts of your organization to stand up for the preborn?
The fact of
cold weather?
Well, no, we're out there. We just wear a few extra layers of clothing, like 3 or 4. So we still are out there. God's been good to us. A lot of warm weather for the most part.
And there have been a lot of results. You saw earlier this year the abortion clinic that some have called Bread and Roses. Some have called it other things. But whatever, you saw it closed down. How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel very blessed by God to see His work, and we weren't sure what was going to happen. We were just maintaining our obedience to God in staying there, and it was just a real blessing that God showed us His work, His power, and He closed it down, and I just really praise God for that.
Merri Lin, as you have observed most of the time, those demonstrators are either the Missionaries to the Preborn that have stood in the gap, but it has been rare that a father of a child would show up at an abortion clinic. Would you like to introduce our guest tonight and tell us a little bit about this story?
Okay, tonight there's Tim Bianco is here, and I met him on, I do believe it was January 24th, and he was the first father that morning that I had met, and I had counseled him and his girlfriend, and in the process of that, he informed me that he agreed with me and that he had done what, at that point, he knew what to do to try to protect his child and help his girlfriend. He had told her he would help with the child, take the child, whatever. And so...
So it was not a matter of abandonment, it was not a matter of an abandonment situation where there was no care available for the child.
Right. I had offered her help, and then I started to talk to Tim a little bit about his responsibility, and that's when he turned to me and said, I agree with you. And then I went from a totally different angle, and I asked him, did you tell her all this? Because sometimes the men feel like, well, they've been taught that it's just the woman's choice, so I won't at all tell her what I think. And the women sometimes really want to know. Just tell me what you think. Just tell me. And so I usually tell them, and tell her. You will help her. Tell her so she knows.
Tim, had you told her before that you would provide for the child and that you would be nurturing and helpful?
Yes, we'd talked at great length for a couple of weeks about this, and I'd told her that I would do whatever I could to help the child, and that I would take care of all the medical bills, and she wouldn't have to worry about everything. And if she didn't want to be tied down to the child, that I would be willing to take the child, and she would have no responsibility at all. We had planned on getting married, and I told her, I will marry you, and we can have this child, and this will be the first child of our family. And she didn't want to have a child.
Did not want to have a child. She went to the abortion clinic, mind made up.
Yes.
In a nutshell, just in a thumbnail sketch, what happened thereafter? We're going to watch it on television, but maybe you can give us a preview.
Okay, we got there, and the Missionaries to the Preborn were there. I had no idea that they were going to be there.
Had you ever met Missionaries to the Preborn before? Did you know who they were?
No, I hadn't. The closest thing is seeing demonstrators on TV. And
previous to that, what did you think of what the television had made out demonstrators to be?
For the most part, I don't take the mass media on their word. I look at the pictures and I listen to what's said, but I don't believe that all demonstrators, I never believed that all demonstrators that demonstrated against abortion were violent and were causing problems with the women and stuff, but I didn't know exactly what to think until that day.
You met people that cared?
Yes, I did. I got to the doors, and there were 4, I believe, people sitting in front of the door, not letting any of the mothers in. And Merri Lin and a couple other girls were there to talk to the mothers, and Merri Lin went and tried to talk to my girlfriend and reason with her and help her come to understand that it was a living, viable child.
Your girlfriend chose to go ahead with the abortion?
Yes, she did.
We're going to watch some videotape, and I want you to listen, because most of the sounds you will hear are those that actually come from the area. Merri Lin, will it be necessary to do a little talk over here to describe what's going on?
A little bit. If
that is okay, we'll just let you do the soundtrack for us along with the actual audio. Okay. And we're going to be watching about 16 minutes of videotape that was taken in front of an abortion clinic located where?
At 530 North Water Street.
And the name of the abortion clinic?
Summit Women's Health Organization.
Summit Women's Health Organizations. I always wonder, as I hear those names, considering that a child is also involved, what they talk about it as a child's health organization. But I guess you couldn't really call it that, could you? Because the child, after they get done, isn't very healthy. We're going to go to videotape right now, and you follow along with us as we listen together.
This is about the time when, right when the police arrived, the officer approached his girlfriend and said, "Do you want to sit in the police car?" And so then they put the girls in the police car, and that was all police initiated. And at that point, then I started to counsel her through the police window. They had 3 women in the back of that car, so they didn't have any room for Tim Bianco to be in there. So Tim had to wait outside the car while his girlfriend was inside the police car.
Now, let me ask this. She had not made her approach yet to the abortion clinic?
Yes, this is before she had, Tim and his girlfriend had come. They were the very first couple that we met. They had walked around the block a little bit because the worker told them to leave. And she didn't know where to go, so she saw the police come, and she came back to the door thinking, well, maybe I can get in right now. And that's when the police officer asked her if she wanted to sit in the car. And he then, therefore, separated Tim and his girlfriend in that fashion.
Even as you approached the abortion clinic, Tim, had you expressed to your girlfriend you didn't want her to go through with this?
Yes, I was trying, but the actual day that it happened, we weren't communicating very well. She wouldn't listen to me, and we couldn't talk without her getting upset.
What do we see here, Merri Lin?
That particular officer was the one who asked them if they wanted to sit in the car. He's telling me to just back off. And I just informed him that I'm trying to evaluate the situation and continue to talk to her, giving her some time to think about it, and then talk to her some more. And there's Tim sitting there. There are 3 women in the back of that car. In the police car behind it, there's, I think, 1, maybe 2, at least 1.
So each woman was waiting for their opportunity to go into the abortion.
Yes.
Highly out of the ordinary now that not only is the police department there to uphold law or to protect individuals, but now they're providing refuge for customers or a waiting room paid for by tax dollars on wheels.
And it's initiated by the police officers. That was basically one of the first things he said to her.
Who is this now?
These are some more mothers coming, and we have some other people trying to counsel. There were quite a few women that came around the same time, so we needed some of the men to counsel the women while we were counseling other people.
Now, what's happening here?
They started making arrests. There's some, I think, paddy wagons there, so they're starting to take pictures and handcuff and pull them away from the door.
Any children later on in your life?
At this point, knowing Tim's heart in the matter, we decided that we were all going to go to the door right away that morning to help him protect his child.
Let's follow the action here, what happens now. We can turn up our sound just a little bit.
You trust it? You trust it in labs? Well, I'm just going to say labs. Hang on. I know. That's your hospital. You never have a child. You never have a child.
It seems like an easy way out, but it's a lie. The rest of your life will be affected. Let your child live. It will be a great joy. God will give you grace for it.
Which one do you want now? Take Stevie? Yeah, I get Stevie. Steve, up, please. Yeah, let's go. Take a break. Pull it. Go. Hey, just relax a little bit. You get that? Good plan. Very much. Take a deep breath.
Ralph.
I know. I understand. That's good.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Who's that?
Now that's Tim sitting down. He had said, I'm sorry, I'm going to sit, something like, I'm sorry, I'm going to sit down. That's my baby.
Tim, that was a decision and a half. It meant that you're going to be arrested.
I knew that, but at that time, that was the last thing I could do to try and save my baby.
Were the police aware that this was your child?
Yes, they were.
At this time, they're praying together. With Tim.
Yeah. Better get some extra progress here on this one. Tim Warren. Kim Warren, yeah. Oh, Kim, I'm sorry. Extra help on this guy. Yeah. I know.
During this time, I and another counselor were talking to his girlfriend that was in the police car, letting her know that Tim had sat down at the door and why he sat down and how important it was. And she did watch from time to time when she'd see somebody being pulled from the door, she'd look to see who it was. From another counselor, when Tim was pulled from the door, the other girls in the car pointed and said, "That's your boyfriend." And she looked and kind of was like shocked, her facial features in her response. So she did see him being taken away.
Who is this kneeling down in front there?
That's Ralph Overdahl.
One of the missionaries to the Preborn?
Yes.
I understand in just a bit we will see him arrested as well.
Yes, you will.
the camera as a father when he's alone in front of the door.
It's okay, Ralph. I work here. You know, they're like... Never have. Well, let's make it personal here. And I think you're a nice guy, personally. What about that? Oh, my God. You can't have your personalities into it, Ralph.
What is happening right now as we're watching there, Merri Lin?
Well, basically, I'm not sure at this point if some of the paddy wagons are full, if they're waiting for another one, but there's just a little dialogue. That one officer that was talking to Ralph, he has been at Bread and Roses and at a variety of clinics, so he knows us pretty well by name. So he's basically just trying to dialogue. They're continuing just to pray there and wait. I think that they're waiting for a paddy wagon to move some more people away from the door.
I notice that they do not move them until there's another paddy wagon available. In other words, they allow them to remain there until the moment they officially remove them?
No, not normally. This is kind of a different kind of day. Most of the time, the police officers at this particular clinic won't let you get anywhere near the door. And if you are at the door, they will handcuff you and just remove you and pull you from the door and let the girls in. There have been times when they've let them step on you to get over you. They'll yank the door open and just allow the people to walk on you. This is kind of an unusual day at this clinic. The police officers go quite a bit above and beyond their calls.
Just before Ralph and I were arrested, the paddy wagon was full, and the police officers forced the doors open with Ralph and I there, and allowed some of the workers to go in, stepping over Ralph, and one of the police officers, also stepped on Ralph.
Stepped on him?
Yes.
That situation's going to be coming up real soon. At this point, they're opening the door, or not at this point, in just a couple minutes, they'll open the door to try to get some workers in. However, we didn't know if they were going to leave the door open for the other girls to get in as well. And one of the clinic workers was kicking Ralph in the neck, and that's when you'll hear Ralph kind of yell out, "Officer," and the officers were all there watching it. And they let the workers just walk right on top.
Holy Christ, John's here. Look out. Sleep with my bad back.
Were those expletives coming from the lips of an officer?
Yeah.
More and more you begin to find that type of language coming from certain officers. I'm kind of glad that it doesn't characterize all officers.
That's right. At this point, I will be coming to the door, and there will be an officer trying to block my way. Right there.
You see the officers trying to stop you from...
Yep. He has his knee there, and at some point he moves enough for me to squeeze through. This is where they're trying to squeeze women in, the workers.
Hurry to kill children, officer!
Ralph is at that point being kicked by, I do believe, a woman worker. There's an officer standing in front of the camera. That's a sergeant, I do believe. That's another thing that they employ when they don't want you to video what is actually happening. They will put their body in front of your camera and move every time you move.
So apparently there are some things that the police department does not want the public to see.
That's right. On other videos, they sometimes line up. So you have 4 backs to you, and there's absolutely no way that you can see what's happening. That, I do believe, is one of the sergeants. We're the last three to be at the door. Tim, Ralph, and myself.
They've established police line barricades in, so no one can go past that.
Yes, they basically do that almost immediately. If you step foot over it, even if you want to go back on the other side, they'll come and arrest you on the, public side.
Once you have crossed over.
Yeah, even if you stepped over and then you wanted to not be on that side, they'll come and track you down the sidewalk. This is what's in.
Yeah, that's me getting arrested now.
What was that noise that we heard there?
I'm not sure. Here again, the police are in a line, and we can't really see Tim getting arrested. You'll see his face.
Forming a human barricade before the cameras.
And I do believe I'm counseling a girl. Why should the baby die? Sitting here tonight is Tim Bianco. Tim was the father of that baby. His girlfriend chose an abortion. And in the later hours of that day, Tim, that child died?
Yes. The rescue was unsuccessful, and there was no way to save my child.